Hey everybody, it's Brett. I'm back with another video. So, for this video, I'm going to be talking about the time I saw Corvette number 3, the 1953 Corvette that was Corvette number 3, apparently the third one off the line. I saw this Corvette at a Tulsa car show. I was probably in high school at the time. It was in the early 90s. It's hard to remember exactly. In fact, I thought this might be kind of timely because I recently had a major car show in Tulsa, the Darrell Starbird car show. And I can't say with 100% certainty that this was at a Darrell Starbird car show, but I do remember seeing the car at a show in Tulsa when I was a kid in the early 90s. And kind of funny, when I saw this, I was with some people, but I was kind of off by myself at the moment, and I just sort of stumbled upon this exhibit with this car. And just so you know, this is a photo. I'm showing the front end of another 1953 Corvette. This was from a photo I took on a trip to the National Corvette Museum, which doesn't have Corvette number 3, but does have some other 53 Corvettes. Just a little bit of background, though. 1953 was the first year of the Corvette. They made about 300 of them, and for that very first year, they all looked alike. They were white with red interiors. They were convertibles. They had automatic transmissions. And they did not have a high-performance V8 like the Corvettes of today. They had a straight six-cylinder engine called the Blue Flame 6. So, now that you know that much about the Corvettes from that year, you know they look alike. There weren't that many of them. And I stumbled upon this Corvette at this car show in Tulsa, and it was a beautiful 1953. And one of the things I remember about this, somehow when I saw this, I was by myself. There wasn't really anybody else around as far as the people I'd gone there with. But I come across this, and it's got no information on the owner. A lot of times at car shows, they'll have some information about who the owner is, where the owner's from. Nothing about it on this car. Like they're intentionally trying to keep the owner's info a secret. And they claim, I remember the display saying, that this was the third Corvette off the assembly line, supposedly, based on the serial number, and that 1 and 2 were apparently destroyed in testing or are no longer around, and that basically makes it the oldest and first Corvette sold to the public, which I found to be a very amazing find in it myself. And glad I got the opportunity to see it, but it's funny, over the years, I've never seen or really ever heard of this car again. I never saw it at another car show in Tulsa, certainly. Haven't ever read much about it ever. And, after a couple of decades, you're like, did I really see what I thought I saw? So not too long ago, I did some searches on the internet, and YouTube. I was able to find some information that pretty much backs up what I remembered. Some of the things I was pretty much able to confirm from a couple of different sources. This car was apparently restored in the early 90s. So if it was restored in the early 90s and I stumbled upon it in a car show, that fits with my timeline, what I remember. and certainly feasible. After it was restored, it could have gone on a car show circuit being shown at different shows around America. So that fits. Pretty much there is a consensus also that 1 and 2 are no longer around, no longer exist. And there were only 300 of these made that first year, and the serial number system was pretty simple. And so, yeah, I think it is quite feasible that was the car as advertised. Also, I've done some more research, and apparently this around the mid-2000s sometime, the car was sold at a Barrett-Jackson auction for over $1 million. One source I read had 1,080,000, I think. Can't say I'm surprised. When I saw this car in the early 90s, Corvettes weren't worth quite as much as they are now, but I would have expected that car to have been super valuable even back then, at least worth, a couple $100,000, who knows. So I feel glad to have seen it. I'm not sure where the car is now, but certainly makes for a good story, I guess. So thanks for listening. Also, one other thing about the 53 Corvette, I guess that this experience served well for me. Years later, when I was working in Arkansas for a newspaper, me and some coworkers entered this trivia contest, and I think we did it 2 years in a row. First year at this trivia contest for this group, we came in second, our team did. And the second year we came in first. And one of the questions in the trivia contest one of the years was, what was the year the Chevy Corvette was first made? And I said 1953, and some of my colleagues were like, was it really that far back? And I was like, yeah, 1953, trust me. I saw it at a car show when I was a kid, and served us well because that helped us place so good in the contest. So, thank you. Have a good night.